Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank my colleague for those questions. I do have some follow-up questions relative to this particular issue, but I will proceed them with just a few comments. I heard the statement said that we have a tremendous opportunity. We actually do, but I don't want us to marginalize the obligation that we have had since 2002. I'm resolved to address this issue. Very voluminous document. I will reserve for another setting to address some of the other areas that are of significant concern, but I did make a commitment to address this issue from the vantage point of our mission. So I do have a few questions, however. Mr. Steiger, I do have some follow-up questions at this time, and I want to share with you that my questions are not for you. They're not for you, sir. Thank you. I have some programmatic questions that I would like to ask so that I could have some context, and I would be remiss, Mr. Steiger, if I didn't say I appreciate your conviction. I appreciate your courage, your integrity, and I appreciate you standing in the paint of this particular issue. It gave me a nostalgic moment that when I was principal at Northwestern and we received our first letter grade of F, there were a lot of aspersions cast upon the faculty, the staff, the students, the community. And for a moment, the writer was attempting to give me a pass as the principal, but I was having no parts of that. As the educational leader of that school, I owned it all. I owned it all. Mr. Goodman, I owned the audit exception that I received when the activities director deposited her money 2 days late. I owned that. I owned it. I owned when a teacher may have paid for a poor student to attend a field trip by soliciting donations that may have been outside of the scope of an application. I owned that. I owned it. So my position is win, lose, or draw, leadership owns it. Leadership owns it. That is why this board item is here. Because this board owns it. We own it through policy. And where there's an opportunity, that opportunity is preceded by an obligation. So I heard you say we have an opportunity, but we've had an obligation. And I like the way my colleague, Ms. Rojas, couched the issue. The issue was framed around educational opportunities and experiences for students. That is the fulcrum of our mission. So that is why this item is here, because we in leadership, we in leadership, when something goes south, we own it. We own it. We stand in the paint. We stand in the pulpit. We stand in the midst, in the grit, in the grime of the politics. But we stand and we own it. I'll reserve additional commentary around that particular issue for a later time, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank you. I'm not happy, but I respect your integrity. I respect your conviction, your transparency, your sense of optimism. But more importantly, I respect your leadership. You didn't mention anybody else. You didn't attempt to throw anybody under the bus. You didn't mention any other department, any other name. Even when you were asked a question that didn't apply to you, you didn't say, a personnel decision, I can't answer that. Dr. Baglos needs to answer that. You didn't call anybody's name. And for that, sir, I respect you.